Hi, I'm Ellora Chapin, and I've been a student at St. Thomas all 4 years. I'm a senior now, and I've been going to Catholic school for maybe 8 years now. I was at St. Elizabeth Seton in Rochester, and now I'm here. And I've been Catholic for, I'm going on my second year. I was confirmed, when was it? This will be a cut. I have to think now. Did we say a year? So I've been confirmed for a year now, and so I'll start with everything I used to do. So before I had my conversion, I suffered greatly with anxiety attacks and depression my entire life. Even as a really young child, I suffered a lot from just a very nervous and sheltered attitude towards myself. I would have unexplained anxiety attacks. I was put on several medications, and it took a really big toll on me and my family. I grew up in a Christian family. I was baptized Christian in a congregational church. My family was more of the, we're Christian, but we don't really go to church or anything, but we have the values kind of people. So, I think. So all through, I think it started in middle school, when you come to that moment of adolescence where you're figuring things out, whatever insecurities you may have kind of come out, and through middle school especially, I started to experience these anxiety attacks I've been having my whole life with a more personal take, and that led to depression. And I really had a very low self-esteem as a middle schooler, and going into high school at St. Thomas, I just thought so badly of myself. And I said, well, I guess my family's Christian, so I shouldn't be upset, I should be Christian. So I kind of went through the Acts, and I went through the actions and the things you do as you think you're a Christian, so you just do the things you're supposed to do, because apparently they're supposed to help. And I really was doing it empty-minded, just going through the motions. And I guess I'll start with So I had crazy anxiety attacks still all through freshman year, beginning of sophomore year of high school, and I surrounded myself actually with people that were really bad influences, people who I thought were my friends. They were very anti-Christian, anti-Catholic people that I thought were just, they were the only people around, so I just let them be around and influence me in that way. So they only furthered my anxiety, and of course social media. I used a lot of social media as a freshman and sophomore, and I just glorified it and used it as my escape, although it kept me as a slave, and I really sunk into it. And through social media, especially as a teenager, you find all these false realities and false promises that are supposed to tell you, if you do this, you'll be happy. So I was, an anxious, depressed teenager who wanted to feel better about herself. So I went on to be a very atheistic, if that's a word, atheistic person that really glorified just the whole modern idea of how should I say it, like glorifying yourself instead of God, the very modern idea of putting yourself higher than God. I was a feminist, like crazy feminist. I was pro-abortion, I was pro-death penalty, I was pro everything basically against the Catholic Church. I wanted nothing to do with the Catholic Church. I was very just lost, and I had these fits of anxiety attacks and depression where I was on medication, and there was a point where I was suicidal and I went to the emergency room because my mom was so scared, and they just kept handing me more medications thinking it was going to help, and it never did. So I then I just became lost. So then spring of 2020, COVID started, and everything got shut down, and my Mimi got diagnosed with a brain tumor that was cancerous, and she was gone within, I think it was 2 months, and she had been like a mother figure to me my whole life. So that was very, very hard for my whole family. And all through this, I had a boyfriend, Camden. I have to give him kudos apparently, because he helped, but his family has been Catholic for 5 to 10 years. They used to be Lutheran, and now they're Catholic, and they are obviously practicing Catholic, so they were going to Mass, and I wanted to hang out with Camden all the days of the week, and I was like, well, why can't we hang out on Sunday? And he's like, well, I go to Mass, and then I hang out with my family. And I was like, well, I don't want to go to Mass, but I want to hang out with you. So he was like, oh, then, I don't know, you're just going to have to come to Mass if you want to hang out with me. So I was like, okay, sure. And I was I think at this point, I had been so sad that I was kind of just looking at anything, grabbing at all the ropes, trying to see what worked. So I was like, whatever, I'll give Mass a try, and my boyfriend's there, so I'm just going for him, and I wore the tight skinny jeans and the hoodies, and and I went to Mass like that, and I was like, this is fine, and I just sat there, and I didn't kneel, I didn't participate, I just sat there, and I didn't know what it was doing to me at the time, but it really, really meant something to my conversion, and so did just going to Catholic school all through middle school, and the first 2 years of being at St. Thomas really impacted me, and the education of scripture and the gospel and learning about the Mass and the Catholic faith. You don't think it's doing anything at the time, but I was just like getting planted these seeds over and over again by all of my teachers and all the people I met through the Catholic school, that eventually, a plant had to grow. Like, they were all just there waiting to be, given the right soil and water. And, I was just a dry soul that they were living in. They had nowhere to go. I had all this knowledge, but I wasn't going to apply it because I didn't have anything around me to make it grow. So Camden, of course, came along and had me come to Mass, and I started going on a regular basis, and I slowly was like, this is really nice, I guess. I was kind of ignorant to it, like whatever, and I was hanging out with this very holy, God-centered family, and they were talking about God, and of course God had been something that everyone was talking about my whole life because I grew up in a Christian family, went to Catholic school, so I was comfortable with that topic, but I was uncomfortable with the emotions it brought forth because I was so sheltered in my own darkness and anxiety and depression that I wasn't willing to let it come out until I was shown the love by his family and by him. And I really think it's special that God came through that way, because I'm still with Camden, and with love between a man and a woman being his parents showing me their love and Camden showing me his love, I think God reveals something really special within the love for another person, kind of the matrimony with the church and Jesus. And so yeah, I started going to Mass with them, and eventually I just, with my Mimi dying and with COVID happening and being really shut in and having to deal with what was really inside, I finally was like, okay, like, should I try this out? Should I really participate in this and see what it's all about? I've been told, you know, all these great things about conversions and, you know, I've tried everything, so why not try this? And I know what it's like to be stuck pulling at all the ropes. And I really sympathize for everyone my age because I know what it's like to be really digging yourself a grave and sitting in it and not knowing how to come out, because you can't just have someone come up to you one day and be like, hey, God works, because at the time you're not going to understand it, you're not going to take it to effect, and you're not going to like how that sounds. I know that like plenty of people said that to me at the time when I was really, really in a deep, dark pit, and I just, it made me hate the church even more. It made me more sour to it. So I know where people are, and that's why I never force my faith on anyone, because I don't want anyone to feel worse, because we should be living in a very, if we live, here, how do I put this? If we live our faith, that alone should be enough. You shouldn't have to tell someone who is not doing well, hey, this works, do it. You should be able to live your life how you have been through God, and that should be enough for them to be like, hey, what's this person doing? Like, how? And yeah, so anyway, back on track. I all of a sudden I just had this like burst of energy and everything was lighter, and I was like, wow, is this God? Like, am I experiencing God? And it makes me choke up because I'm like, wow, am I like alive finally? Because I was like so sad. Yeah, I don't want to cry. God.
Tissues.
Yeah.
I'll edit it out. However, I'll do that.
I know. It's funny. Yeah.
I know. Best laid plans. Trust me.
Yeah. See if we can get rid of it. That's the worst part.
Laughter is the best medicine.
You're like, how do I get rid of it now? I can just picture the whole room of priests being like,
oh, they've seen it all. Oh gosh.
oh, I'm sure.
Can you imagine?
The next clip, I'm like puppy.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what happened to her?
Oh, cute.
Anyway.
Oh, where were we? Oh.
What?
I was thinking, where were we? Confirmation, maybe. Did you already? I mean, you mentioned it.
I can go to my confirmation. Yeah, I'm almost there.
Okay. Be patient, Mrs. Wade.
Anyway.
Together.
So, hold on. Where was I? Yeah, so I felt alive finally. And, everything was brighter. Everything was beautiful. And I really like fell in love with Camden's family and how they functioned as a family, and it was beautiful. And I was like, wow, this is like how people are when they're living a God-filled life. Like, it's amazing. And I just wanted to be that. Like, I met everyone in the church and I was like, wow, like, I want to be with them. So, and it is one big family. So you're looking at it and you're like, wow, I want to be part of that family. Like, I don't want to be part of this societal thing anymore. Sorry, my voice. So then I went through, since it was COVID, all the friends that I did have that were bad influences for me, they happened to go away with COVID because I wasn't able to see them at school anymore. I didn't have to confront them with my newfound love of God and the Catholic Church. I didn't have to deal with that, negative feedback immediately. I had time to process. So as terrible as COVID has been and how much of an impact it has had negatively on people's lives, it was really a blessing in disguise and a bittersweet thing for me because I didn't have to, God really sheltered me from how the world would have reacted if I had gone back to school saying, hey, I actually want to be Catholic, because right now as a young adult, being surrounded by kids in high school, almost like more than half of them, I'd say, are very, they think very negatively of Christians, even not even Catholics. And I'm sure that just comes from, the ignorance that social media brings about and societal standards. So, yeah. So, because of COVID, I couldn't do normal confirmation classes with like a big class of kids. So instead, Angela, Camden's mother, who is the RCIA director at Our Lady of the Holy Rosary Parish in Rochester, who does all the confirmation classes, was like, hey, well, you're dating my son, so do you want to just every Sunday after Mass come back to our house and I'll give you little private lessons and see if you really want this and see if anything speaks to you? And I was like, yeah. So we started, and I was like, it was great for us because I don't think I would have built such a great relationship with his mother if I hadn't have done this with her, because I was bringing forth things in my life and experiences and how I truly felt in ways I hadn't before. And I was like crying to her, and she was like, oh, it's okay. So we really built a relationship off of that, and she really helped me understand things in a very understanding way. And everything just came to life. I was like taking all this knowledge I had and realized like, wow, this can be applied. This is real. This isn't just this made up story. Christmas isn't just a holiday, those kind of things. I was like, wow, So then we went through this process of confirmation classes, and I got confirmed by the end of that summer. So I started in the beginning of spring and it ended in the summer, and I got, because of COVID again, I got confirmed alone by Father Paul, the priest at my parish. And I chose St. Therese of Lisieux as my patron saint because I truly felt as though the world had reaped me of my innocence and my baptismal purity, and I had just been exposed to the worst of the worst. I had hit the deepest pit of depression. I had felt the worst I possibly could, and Therese was a really, she is the patron saint of the little flower or child of Jesus, and those things. She has the little way and everything. And what I had been experiencing before my conversion was the opposite. The glorification of your body and yourself. And so I really wanted to pick a saint that was going to embody humble humility and selflessness. So then the gospel reading for my confirmation day was when Jesus walks out on the water. And do you remember which apostle it was?
Peter. Mm-hmm.
So it was when Jesus walked out across the waves to Peter, who was falling into the waves and drowning, and he said, I can't remember the exact words, I might have to pull up the gospel.
I think he was like, save me.
Yeah, and Peter was basically like saying like, save me, and Jesus pulled him up out of the waves, and Jesus basically, in that same passage was talking about how if you look at the waves, you're more likely to fall or sink into them. But if you look at me, like, what do you call it? What's the light? The
beacon. Oh,
the beacon,
lighthouse.
Lighthouse.
Yep.
Keep
your eyes on
you won't.
Jesus.
Yeah, keep your eyes on Jesus, and you won't fall in the waves. And that was really a great message for me, because I all my life had felt like I was falling into these waves, and just one would come and hit me down, and then another from the other direction would hit me down. And the moment I thought I was like doing the right thing, I'd come up and another one would hit me down. So, and I just was looking at everything else but Jesus, like everything. I just tried everything. And then finally I looked at him and I rose up out of the water and I, walked with him. So that really spoke to me, and of course I cried the second he was reading the gospel, because I was like, wow, this really speaks to me. So yeah, I was confirmed and received First Communion, and yeah, I feel like this is so long. Like should
That's okay.
Should it be this long? I mean, you'll do a lot of editing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't remember. Are we at are we good? Are we?
Yeah, we're almost there.
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
We're on this journey together.
Oh boy. I still have like tissue fibers in my eyes. That's why I'm like, You have to pick out parts where I'm like,
it's hard to be a girl.
I
know.
You could have like a blooper reel at the end.
That would be hilarious, wouldn't it?
And
yeah,
like,
and my voice in the background is like nasal
Peter.
Midwestern Minnesotan.
Yeah. So then I went back to school after we were allowed to, of course, with masks and directional hallways and everything. That was fun. And I had no friends, because as I was confirmed, I texted them and I let them know, and they were not okay with it. And that just shows you, my generation's tolerance sometimes isn't the greatest. And, Christ really helped me stay peaceful within that and not get too disturbed by the hatred they showed me. But I was bullied for a little bit by the old group of friends I did have, because they did believe that the Catholic Church and people who are Catholic are terrible people. Apparently, it was a messy situation, and I really just was thankful that I had God to lean on in that moment. So then, going back to school, I had to see all their faces, and I didn't have any friends, so I was just alone. And I had a few companions that I found out were Catholic, and I kept them around because I said, hey, if I'm going to keep people around, they should be, God-loving, not hating. So I had a few, but what really helped me was St. Thomas's, let me reword that. What really helped me through that was St. Thomas High School's, how do I want to name the Adoration Chapel and the masses and everything. But I want to put it in a good sentence.
The environment maybe, or the opportunities?
Yeah.
Faith opportunities?
So St. Thomas Aquinas High School really helped me with that situation, not having any friends, because they offer, the Adoration Chapel and the masses and the environment, praying in maybe each and every one of your classes at the beginning of the day, and having a staff, the faculty in the school that will pray with you and be there for you, and just having that ability to feel welcome and open to talk about God and knowing that you're safe in the environment you're in, and that if for anything to happen, they would back you up, because children in high school can be very harsh, and I knew that if anything were to happen, they would be there for me. And yeah, so yeah. So then shortly after, my mom and my brother Cooper joined the Catholic Church as well, because they saw how amazing the change in my life They saw how amazing the change in my life had become, and they were experiencing it with me, and they were just so inspired. So my mom started going to a Bible study and educating herself, and she hadn't had that much Catholic education, because she didn't go to Catholic school like I did. So she had to go and ask the questions herself and go in and dig deep. And she had a huge conversion as well, which changed her life and really helped her through the mourning process of her mother passing away. So that was really inspiring and beautiful. And yeah. Is there anything else? That might be it.